It's cheaper than dirt because it's still on the average below mining costs. So I consider that if the dirt that they're digging up and refining into silver, they're doing it at a loss, then silver is cheaper than dirt right now. And it will be in the mainstream media. It's just that you guys are early, like Dave said, leaders, right?
Yeah. Yeah, gold is mainstream. I mean, I don't know how many here subscribe to my service, and it's certainly not just me saying this stuff. I want to be very clear that I'm not the only one that writes a Hard Money, Honest Money, or Precious Metals newsletter. I'm one of several. But we have all stated basically the same thing, and I predicted in my letter in 2009 in my annual forecast issue that 2009 would be the year that you hear gold in the mainstream press. And that was accurate. We heard, especially at the end when gold went from the $1,000 to the $1,200 level, gold was talked about almost daily. And I also predicted in that same issue that silver would not be hardly talked about at all. I mean, today was the first time I've been to Singapore, and this morning, thanks to my friends here at silverinc.asia, I was interviewed, in the morning show, which I guess has like 2 million viewers or something. And I could tell, this is my perception now, so maybe I'm wrong, that even the commentators that interviewed me were stunned a little bit by some of my answers. When they said, well, why silver? I really don't get it. And I said, well, when everyone's thinking the same, nobody's thinking very much. No one really thinks about how powerful a silver investment is. I do, obviously, so does Mike. Mike and I have known each other for a few years now, and we have a good synergy. But that's the story. Now, silver will probably, I said on that same show that silver will outperform gold by at least 30% this year, and I believe that's true. And we probably will see silver become more fashionable in the mainstream press. I mean, 2 million people that never heard the silver story this morning heard it later today. Now, whether they understood it or knew what I was conveying or think I'm a crackpot from the United States or not, I don't know. But what I do know is I spoke from the head and heart, and I was very accurate with what I said. Some was opinion, most of it was straight fact. And once these facts catch fire, they take off. I don't know. There's a lot I don't know. But what I do know by careful observation is a flock of birds will be flying north and they'll all be going together, and out of nowhere they'll turn south and they'll start flying just like that, very quickly. And that's an analogy or a metaphor for what I think is going to take place in the precious metals markets. No one knows when exactly, no one knows why exactly, and both of them don't really matter. But we know that there's going to be something that's going to trigger an event, and all of a sudden everybody's going to want to get in at the same time. And you can't. We've both shown you time and again during this whole day why these metals are so important to protect wealth, build wealth, and also why you want to get in while you can. Because there's going to be a day like no other day in these markets, I believe, because as Mike said and I've said, it's a global phenomenon this time. So.
Yeah, and shortages develop in physical. So if you're trying to get, you can always buy the ETFs because there may not be anything there. But when the markets crashed in the end of 2008, gold and silver went along for the ride. They started falling. But at about $800 once it broke 850, shortages developed in physical gold and silver all over the planet. And there were days when we couldn't, there was about a month where we couldn't get any gold, and there were 3 days when we couldn't get any silver at all. And the prices diverged, the physical and the spot price. The spot price is set on the exchange by futures contracts, which are IOUs. Those kept on going down. Silver went from 21 bucks down to under 9. But on eBay, Silver Eagles were going for $35 each on the same day that the spot price was less than 9. So it's 4 times the spot price. And that will happen big time in this rush that we're talking about. Another thing, if we have a deflation or a currency crisis, either one, I think you're going to think for a little while that we were wrong, because people are trained to think gold is safety. They're not trained to think silver. So the world is going to rush into gold. But just like at the end of '79, Once it gets too expensive for the common man, which I believe is somewhere between $2,500 and $5,000 an ounce this time, the public changes their preference, and they start noticing that silver is still cheap, and they start buying silver, and that's when silver blows the doors off of gold on a percentage basis, just like in '79.